Hello students, are you ready to learn about grammar phrases? I sure hope so, because I'm going to teach you anyways. The first one we're going to talk about are prepositional phrases. A preposition connects a word to a noun or pronoun to form a prepositional phrase. It explains where an object is located or describes its location. For example, the dog jumped in the lake. In is your preposition, and where did the dog jump? In the lake. So that is your prepositional phrase. The fish swam beneath the lake. Where did the fish swim? He swam beneath the lake. So beneath the lake is your prepositional phrase, and beneath describes where the fish swam, so it is your preposition. Spider-Man swung on his webs through the city. This one includes to, and yes, that is possible. On is your first preposition, and through is your second. So where does Spider-Man swing? On his webs. But to go into even more depth, where does he swing on his webs? He swings through the city. Next, we're going to talk about a participle phrase. A participle phrase acts as an adjective, for it contains many objects, prepositional phrases, and/or modifiers. It describes a previous phrase mentioned before or after it. For example, shivering, the dog ran for shelter in the rain. What did the dog do while it was shivering? The dog ran. Younger. When I was younger, I went to bed early. What did you do when you were younger? You went to bed early. The leaking can of Coke ran along the countertops. What did the leaking can of Coke do? It ran along the countertops. Diving near a reef, I saw a great white shark. What did you see while diving? A great white shark. So, I saw a great white shark would be your participle phrase in that one. Gerunds. This entire phrase acts as a noun, including adjectives, adverbs, and prepositional phrases. They normally end in ing. For example, my favorite activity is running with my dog. You could say my favorite activity is running, but just to be more thorough, you could say my favorite activity is running with my dog. So, who do you run with? My dog. And why do you like running? With my dog. I love watching High School Musical. It makes me want to dance. So, what do you love doing? You love watching. But to go even more in depth, what do you love watching? I love watching High School Musical. So, watching High School Musical is your total gerund phrase. Emily's goal when she is on the court is scoring 15 points. What is her goal when she's on the court? To score, but not only just to score 15 points. So scoring 15 points is your gerund phrase. Next, we are going to talk about infinitives. Infinitives are words or phrases in a verb form that has the word to before it. The infinitive phrase contains an infinitive and may contain a prepositional phrase. Examples of an infinitive phrase are, to become a singer is Maddie's inspiration. So what is her inspiration? To become. So to become is acting as a verb here. So her inspiration is to become a singer. So to become a singer is your full infinitive phrase. To paint. It can be a challenge to paint. Yes, it can be a challenge to paint, but to go even thorougher, to more in-depth, to paint a room with a roller is challenging. So to paint a room with a roller is your entire infinitive phrase. To fly. If I had a superpower, I would want to fly around the city and save people. So to fly is acting as a verb, because if you were to be a superhero, what would you do? So you're doing something. So to fly around the city is your infinitive phrase. And here is where I was talking about you can include a prepositional phrase. To fly around the city. Around the city is your prepositional phrase. An appositive explains the noun or pronoun that comes before it. They combine sentences and get rid of repetition. An appositive phrase contains an appositive. Whoa! For example, Tangled, the Disney Princess movie, teaches you that you can do whatever you put your mind to. So, what is Tangled? it's the Disney princess movie. They wouldn't want their reader to think that they're talking about tangled, like you have your pieces of rope tangled up. No, they're describing what they mean by tangled. Macy, my Brittany Spaniel, loves to run. Who is Macy? She is my Brittany Spaniel. So Macy, my Brittany Spaniel, is the appositive phrase, and Macy is the appositive. Disney, a mass media and entertainment company, has come out with many movies based off fairy tales. So if somebody did not know what Disney was, they have described it in this appositive phrase by saying a mass media and entertainment company. Okay, now let's review. I have underlined the parts of speech or phrases that we just went over, and I'm going to talk you through them, but I'm going to give you a chance to guess which one you think is which. Spider-Man, played by Tobey Maguire, is a well-known Marvel character. Yes, I know Tom Holland is now the new Spider-Man, but we'll go with Tobey Maguire from the old ones. Okay, so this underlined part, played by Tobey Maguire, is describing who Spider-Man is. So if you're describing something, can you guess what this part of phrase is, I guess? It's an appositive. If you guessed an appositive, you are correct. Because who is Spider-Man? The one played by Tobey Maguire. So he is a well-known Marvel character. Spider-Man is known to swing around the city on his webs. So we talked about something, if it has the word to before it, so this one is to swing, it's acting as a verb. So, and I also said these can include prepositional phrases. Does anybody remember? If you guessed infinitive phrase, that is correct. Spider-Man is known to swing around the city on his webs. He lives in New York City. So this is describing where somebody lives or where somebody is. This is describing their location. So this one is a prepositional phrase. At night, when Peter Parker is tired, he can barely sleep. So what is Peter Parker at night? He is tired. So this is kind of confusing with an appositive, but they're different because one is acting as an adjective. So this one is a participle phrase. All he can think about is Green Goblin. He just returned from fighting with Green Goblin and he won. So fighting, this ends with ing. As I said, this one normally ends with an ing. And it can have a prepositional phrase in it. So fighting with Green Goblin, go ahead and take a guess at what that is. It is a gerund phrase. Now we have reviewed all 5 of these phrases, and I hope that you learned something, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for listening.